Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Good. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, March 6th, 2023 meeting of the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors. Joining me in the room this evening are all members of the board: Mike Thornton, Ethan Demme, Roger Root, and Vice Chair Corey Meyer, along with staff as well too. There are no members coming in remotely via Zoom tonight. If you would please join me in saying the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our agendas at the back of the room. If you haven't gotten one, please feel free to grab one on the table back there. As you're coming or going, if you'd please sign your name. We do need that for the public record. Okay, item number 3 on our agenda for this evening is public comment for non-agenda items. If you'd like to speak to the Board of Supervisors about an item that's not on the agenda, please do that now if you would. Okay. Anyone online? Okay, great, thank you. All right, moving on. Item number 4 is our consent agenda. 4A is the approval of this evening's Board of Supervisors meeting agenda. 4B is approval of the minutes of the Saturday, February 4th, 2023 special meeting of the Board of Supervisors. 4C is approval of the minutes of the Monday, February 6th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors. And item number 4D is approval of the invoices from all of our funds. That's for a total of $1,062,233.92. Of those bills to be paid, there are several items of note: $194,982.72 to the City of Lancaster for sewage treatment, $81,630 to Whitmore Auto Group for police vehicles, $64,386.18 for safety caution equipment for traffic signal, strobe, and sensor, $66,325.52. The first quarter distribution to our fire companies, that would be 4 fire companies at $16,581.38 each. $29,662.50 to McMahon Associates for engineering work on the Route 30 streetscape implementation plan, and $27,400.80 to the Lancaster Area Sewer Authority for the fourth quarter 2022 payments. Okay, those are the items of note. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Corey, second by Mike. Questions, concerns? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item number 5. We have got Chief Irby. Chief, you want to come up? We have 5, the recognition of service to the youth aid program.
Sure. Thank you, gentlemen, for some time this evening. I'd like to start off some recognitions for some of the members that have been serving for our East Lampeter Township Youth Aid Panel for numerous years. If I can have Mrs. Judy Leonard come up, Mrs. Donna Hurley, and Mr. Mark Lopez. You just come up front here, please. Gentlemen, these fine people here have been members of our youth aid panel panel, in some cases for over 15 years, all volunteering for this position. And as panel members, these individuals have overseen summary and misdemeanor juvenile cases, which are adjudicated outside of the juvenile courts. The goal of the Youth Aid panel is to reduce youth recidivism in the juvenile justice system. East Lampeter Township is very thankful for the service the members of the Youth Aid panel have provided to the citizens of East Lampeter. And this evening, we wanted to recognize them with the presentation of a plaque. So, Matt, Lieutenant Hess, thank you. I'm going to read one of these, but I'm going to hand the other two out. This certificate of appreciation is being presented to Mark Lopez, Donna Hurley, and Junie Letter for their outstanding commitment and dedication for being a member of the Conestoga Valley Youth Aid panel since 2005 or 2006 in some cases. Each of these individuals have served the community tirelessly, putting in countless hours of volunteer time. The East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors and the East Lampeter Township Police Department are grateful for your dedication of service to our children and their families. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Ken McCombs of the Old Lions. And I'd also like to call up Detective Chris Jones, who is the recipient of our 2022 Police Officer of the Year.
Hi, board, and yes. So I'm with Upper Lake, the Leola, Bearville, Laycott Lions Club, and I'm here to present an award for Detective Jones. Detective Jones was hired in September of 2001. He is a graduate of Conestoga Valley High School, as well as Shippensburg University, and holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Detective Jones completed his police academy training at IUP and previously served as police officer with Shippensburg Borough Police Department, Montauk Police Department, as well as Ephrata Township Police Department prior to coming to East Lampeter. Detective Jones has worked in the patrol division, also as a detective with Lancaster County Drug Task Force, and is currently serving as a detective with East Lampeter Township. Over the course of his career, Detective Jones has been recognized over 15 times with letters of commendation from both outside the agencies as well as East Lampeter. Almost all these recognitions commend Detective Jones' direct involvement in the apprehension and arrest of homicide suspects, robbery and burglary suspects, human trafficking suspects, as well as an extensive multi-county smash and grab theft ring. In 2022, Detective Jones handled over 30 cases, resulting in 13 arrests. He also assisted in the development of Lancaster County Human Trafficking Task Force, which is responsible for 30 arrests countywide in 2022. Due to his excellent work with the homicide investigation at the 1722 Motor Lodge and a drug delivery resulting in death case this past year, both defendants were found guilty of all charges. The Lions Club, our motto is "We Serve," and we are proud to congratulate Detective Jones, the East Lampeter Township Police Officer of the Year.
If I could call Sergeant Ron Connors up. Publicly want to apologize to Sergeant Connors. He actually achieved his 25th year of employment in September of last year. and he's not being recognized till now. No fault of his own, but of mine. So, apologies. Sergeant Condris was hired on September 15th of 1997, completing his 25th year of employment this past September 2022. Sergeant Condris is a graduate of Elizabethtown Area High School, Harrisburg Area Community College, holding an associate's degree in criminal justice, as well as the Pac Police Academy. Sergeant Condris is also a veteran, having served 4 years in the U.S. Army 3rd Infantry Division. Sergeant Condris has served in the patrol division for the duration of his time with East Lampeter, having been promoted to sergeant in March of 2017. Sergeant Condris was also voted by his peers as Officer of the Year in 2001. Along with many thank you letters from victims and citizens, Sergeant Condris has received more than 10 commendations during his career. He has been acknowledged for multiple life-saving awards, the Lancaster County DUI Top Gun Award, several agency assists resulting in the arrest of robbery and home invasion suspects, the apprehension of stolen vehicle, recovering several stolen firearms, his handling of a suicidal subject, his investigation of a particularly bad hit-and-run vehicle accident involving an overturned school bus resulting in arrest, as well as his volunteering for a presidential inauguration detail. Today, I would like to recognize Sergeant Condris for his outstanding service to the citizens of East Lampeter Township over the past 25 years. Sergeant Condris, we have you remember the box celebrating your 25 years. Thank you very much. Let's go.
Thanks, man. Shake it through.
This is Sergeant Gregory Gold. Greg was hired on January 20th, 1998, completing his 25th year this past January. Graduate of Lancaster Catholic High School, Penn State University, holding a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and Harrisburg Area Community College Police Academy. Sergeant Dolk has worked in the patrol division for the duration of his time with East Lampeter as well, having been promoted to sergeant in August of 2017. Officer Dolk was also voted by his peers as Officer of the Year in 2004. Sergeant Dolk has a full file of thank you letters from citizens, crime victims, and motorists. There was a lot to read there, by the way. Sergeant Dolk has been recognized numerous times for his commendations, and some of those commendations were for the apprehension of a fugitive from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. He has arrested 2 separate burglary suspects, clearing several open burglary cases with one of those arrests. Sergeant Dolk has also apprehended a wanted subject in a stolen vehicle. He's also involved in the apprehension of several suspects involved in numerous thefts from vehicles. Sergeant Dolk has also served the department as an in-house training instructor over the past few years. Today, I would like to recognize Sergeant Dolk for his outstanding commitment to law enforcement and the residents of East Lampeter Township over the past 25 years. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. We usually ask that guests be introduced, but there was a lot of people there, so we'll hold off. So everyone who came on behalf of those individuals, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for allowing both our volunteers and also our officers to continue to serve the public. So we do appreciate their service and their commitment. So thank you all. The shuffle. Okay, item number 8. We have a presentation tonight to the Board of Supervisors from the Coalition for Sustainable Housing Policy Committee. You would just state your name. Plenty of microphones in the room, you just don't see them. They're picking them up, so just it would state your name. Thank you.
My name is Tammy Fitzpatrick. I am Chief Operating Officer at HTC Pan Atlantic, Baker representing the Coalition for Sustainable Housing. HTC is a member organization of that coalition. Great. I have a presentation here on the screen. How's the hat?
We've got them. Thanks to the care. They beat you to it. You see? I don't think we have that. You got it?
There's a lot of information, but
That's good. Thank you.
so thank you. Thank you, supervisors, for allowing me some housing options that we were referring to township to consider. A quick overview of our agenda: introduction of the Coalition for Sustainable Housing, the objectives for the meeting. We'll talk a little bit about the housing need for the county, and also review the East St. Peter Township housing opportunities, and also there's to be a competition at the end. So who is the Coalition for Sustainable Housing? The Coalition is a diverse group of organizations who collaborate, advocate, and educate for housing solutions for everyone across Lancaster County. We work to drive solutions and affect change in the affordable housing space. As a coalition, we value cross-sector collaboration, bring together diverse perspectives and experiences to achieve our shared purpose. We advocate for a range of housing choices for everyone. We value education through best practices and data-driven knowledge, and housing which sustains our families and households, economy, and quality of life. So the objectives for tonight, I'm going to share the big picture of the lack of housing options and housing affordability in Lancaster County, identify some opportunities for local municipalities to pursue to help solve the problem, and mobilize local residents and organizations to speak in favor of implementing some of these options to be part of the solution. So housing affordability is something we take on with empathy and determination. And we know we can't solve the housing challenge alone. We need champions to change the conversation around what home means and why it matters. Housing is at the center of any thriving community. Currently, we need 1,250 new housing units in the county per year to keep up with the current population growth rate. We need a diverse mix of housing types to accommodate income levels, lifestyle, and family composition. The 2020 U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development study suggested Lancaster County needs to create more than 18,000 new units that are affordable for lower income households alone, just to keep up with the current demand. Graph shows you that our current inventory of affordable housing for folks making less than 50% of the area median income is just a little over 300 units. And while the need is in excess of 18,000. Regional studies have also supported this growing need. To bring together they quoted Central Lancaster County will need a total of over 17,000 new housing units to accommodate expected population growth in the next 25 years. Places 2040 recommended to simplify zoning, to consolidate zoning districts and streamline reviews, consider regional zoning ordinances, incentivize land assembly for infill and redevelopment. So what are our current methods for adding housing? There are subsidized programs through Section 8 vouchers, low-income housing tax credit models, and the sweat equity model. Private development, which is unsubsidized, usually by large and small developers and homeowners. There's barriers to adding new high-density developments. There's zoning challenges, there's rising costs with regards to construction, land, and financing, and there's limited government subsidized resources. So we need to think a little outside the box. So what are our options? We can stop growing, which is very detrimental economically. We can expand the urban growth boundary and use of viable farmland, either one ideal. Or we can increase density and infill by allowing uses to existing zones where infrastructure already exists. A map of which you already know your urban growth boundaries. So I'm talking about infilling areas within those boundaries. So this is reference to the handout that so in reviewing your housing types within the municipality, looking at the housing type, what it means in the zoning districts where it's allowed and where it's not allowed. So this is something for you to digest, but single family detached R1 is the most restrictive zoning district, which provides the least dense planning approach. In addition, single family detached is allowed in 14 other zoning districts. Single family, triplex, quadplex defined as multifamily in the ordinance. Multifamily includes both rental multifamily and owner occupied units. like a condo structure, which also require public sewer and water. And then single room occupancies are very limited in the zoning district by right. So what's our goal? Our goal to expand housing options. Go to the next slide. To continue to grow and maintain the urban growth boundary, increase housing affordability with a mix of housing options, and look at incremental options to increase density in each zoning district while maintaining the context of the neighborhood. TNC. So on the sheet, we've given you some options to consider. So looking at the single family, could you add additional housing options to areas that are exclusively single family? The next step would be to allow duplexes or triplexes, quads or townhouses. It could be the next increment of developments in areas that allow single family. So I encourage you to review the menu of housing options that we've provided you to consider incremental changes to allow density and housing options within your urban growth boundary. So prioritize a few of the options off the menu and work on a plan for how you can make those changes. Engage with the community about the changes and what works best for your municipality, and be part of the solution to solve our collective housing crisis in Lancaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Don't take off. There may be some more questions.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the presentation. We've all been talking about this for quite some time. You know, it's obviously an issue that's impacting the entire county, the region, the state, and the country. In 1994, I started an organization called Citizens for Responsible Growth. And CRG was focused on going around to all the municipalities, getting volunteers, citizens involved, to talk to municipal leaders and citizens about land use and the ways we could do a better job of planning for future development. And the county updated its comprehensive plan, and thus subsequently, of course, and this issue just continues to come up. So I think it's fantastic that you're bringing the message to the community, getting the residents engaged, getting the townships engaged as well. We have some good fortune, in East Lampeter. We've got some developers who are working on, some pretty significant multifamily projects right now, and there can be more, obviously. And density is key. We have a project that we have. The developer has responded twice to our request to go denser. So I believe we're going to hear a plan, not too long, a couple of weeks, for the second option that he came back with. So there are things that we're doing, but we can do more, obviously. So I appreciate the ideas and the options.
I appreciate you challenging developers to go down. You don't hear that very often. So thank you for being part of the solution.
Yeah, that's what he said too. In fact, his bank thought he was getting a little bit too much. It was just going to be a project they didn't know if he could actually finance. So anyway, thoughts, guys, response.
I just want to confirm your numbers here. So the 18,000 is over the next 25 years.
So that's just the need right now. So that is a number from the Lancaster County Development Authority, I believe is the credit.
I think it was the HUD study. I think you said HUD.
Need 18,000 now to.
Couple thousand.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we're putting 1,700 or so, but they're not. This is affordable housing. So
The Growing Together LIMC states that another for the next 25 years.
So that's housing across.
18,000 and 17,000 over the next 25 years. Okay.
That's pretty substantial.
I guess I'd point out that the Growing Together plan, the LIMC plan was adopted in 2007.
Yep.
So what's the correlation and John alluded to it, we have a developer. We asked that developer for more housing units in that land, and he was shocked. Put it mildly, he said, no one ever, I never come to a meeting like this, that they want more density. So what's the correlation between introducing market rate units? How does that, is there any effect on the lower cost rental units when there's more market rate units in an area? Is there any correlation?
It can relieve some pressure on the affordable pieces if some people are moving up. It can, but it also, when it's only market rate, it's limiting opportunities to develop the affordable. So it's great to have a mixture, right? Because we need a diverse mix of housing types and at income levels to really meet the demand across.
Do you have any, I'm sure you have access to national projects. Do you have any projects that were very successful where there was actual market rate and affordable housing? Because basically, from my perspective, I mean, zoning has a lot to do with the current problems. You know, even like villages, you take like Burdenny and boroughs like New Holland. In years past, the lumberyard owner would live up the block from the person that worked for him. And with the zoning, it's hard to build that community. Do you have any success stories where
There was a mix of
there was
housing
a
types.
mix, and how did that?
Yeah, I can provide you some.
How did that look, and what pitfalls and what success stories out of a project like that?
Yeah, I can certainly provide you that information, sure.
I have a question, John.
Go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
So related to that, evidence that changing in zoning will influence developers. I personally spoke to a company that has been in the business a long time of apartment building and managing and so forth. And they said, market conditions dictate what we do. We'll come to you and ask and tell you if we need a zoning change. Because of the investment they're making. Now, this is a pretty large organization. And that this topic, I think, came up before when we had a little bit of touching on it. So I just happened to be in their company and I said, would that influence? I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just telling you that was the reaction that I got. And I didn't know if you had any, similar to what you may be getting some information together for Mr. Rutt, the deal would be, do you see evidence that when you change those zoning conditions that it makes a significant impact on developers coming in? I mean, you can do it, but if the developer doesn't see the dollar, that's going to be a result of that.
Sure.
I mean, it's reality. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. Yes, market conditions would play a role, but having the zoning density available will make it more attractive to developers to come in and want to build there. Aside from having to go through the whole zoning change variance request. I mean, you see how quickly market changes just from the interest rate right in the last 12 months. And that can change. It's changed developers' ability to finance deals quickly.
I think with the proposals of changes you're saying, at least that would be helpful to us to see if there's some communities that are, have experienced that.
Just want to follow up on that piece. From what I've read and talked to different developers, if you're a large developer, you can afford to come in with your sort of, I call it the army of suits, and advocate for zoning changes if the dollars are there. And usually those are the bigger market rate ones. If the zoning is already in place, it empowers your smaller local developers who don't have access to those resources to take advantage of it. But even with the bigger ones, Mr. Fernback, who was here for the Rockvale piece, was in the paper, he said the zoning being in place was key. So for him, investing in Rockvale, having the zoning already in place was the key. They still had to make it work on paper and make it financially viable, but they knew that they didn't have to come in and advocate for a whole bunch of changes and spend a lot of money with lawyers.
It has time too that it takes going through that process as well, which adds dollar costs to the developers.
Go ahead, Rob. No, go ahead.
So another piece of this is I'd be interested in any projects that were used different type of financing, whether it was state or local financing packages that helped maybe the developer put that last piece together.
You got a lot of homework, Tammy, for this morning.
That's good. I like the question.
Keep going. So one of the things that I've been curious about in this whole thing, Tammy, I've served on the county planning commission, and I've served in all kinds of entities in this community. You know, we're always trying to keep up with where the market is. Even the most forward-thinking governing body is almost always somewhere many miles behind where the public is in their choices. So, you know, who among us, you know, would have guessed in 1995 that people would have liked, it would have been trendy to live in shipping containers. And I can show you all kinds of websites and all kinds of pictures on Instagram that I go, I'll give up my house for that. That's pretty cool, you know? I mean, it's just, you know, ways in which the market just stays so far out in front of where we are. And I think, you know, one of the questions that I've had throughout this whole process, not just now, but the past 25 years is, you know, if we free up zoning to the point where just about anything goes, it takes a lot for the public to embrace that.
Sure.
And to accept that my $350,000 suburban home I bought in East Lampeter Township on eighth of an acre lot or something, you know, that now you're telling me that that's not what you want anymore. In fact, you want to take the lot next to me, you want to put in 8 townhouses on that quarter-acre lot or something, you know. It's just, you know, we got to track where is the public going? Where are they now? Where do they think they'll be? You know, it's just. I was in the mid-90s. I spent a lot of time doing what you're doing, and you know that was just sort of bubbled up to the top. You know, so I'll give you a concrete example. We had a gentleman doing Rockville. We all asked. In fact, we have a small 36-unit multifamily in Bridgeport, and we all were so enthused. We're going to put Main Street commercial on the first floor. We're going to do an NTD. We're going to reinvent East Petersburg, Strasbourg. We're going to reinvent that. That concept worked for 150 years. People are going to want that. And they didn't come. I mean, the 36 units are fully occupied, but we were all here a couple months ago, hearing the 2 developers say, we tried it. We can't rent those first floors. So we all went, okay, what can you do? And he came back with an idea and we all went, all right, go for it. Let's try that too. You know, so local government, I mean, at least this organization, I think for years, this body for years, we've always looked for ways. How can we keep pushing the envelope just enough? Because our residents are obviously holding us accountable for what we're doing to their neighborhood, to their community. At the same time, the developer is saying, I can't go in the direction you guys want me to go because the market's over here. So I don't know, just you don't have answers to all that.
I would say that it's important that my suggestions are to keep it within the context of your neighborhood, to not build a 5-story multifamily building next to the suburban single-family homes, that it's important that it's compatible with the neighboring properties.
That's in the selection. That's one of the unique parts of maybe a lot of people shaking their head about Rockville, but it actually does line up with that kind of development very well, where that wouldn't in many other locations. So, you know, the selection of the area, I mean, that's the $50,000, $50 million question.
Keep going. It's 100. Another thing that we did, Tammy, I'm sure Ethan's been, was tracking some of the, some creative things that were going on the West Coast, and we embraced one of those ideas in the past decade. We adopted something called ADUs, alternative dwelling units. So if you've got a carriage house out back, if you're a baby boom couple and your kids have gone off to college and they've flown the coop, and now you've got a 3,000 square foot house and you use maybe about 800 of that every week. What do you do with that basement? Is there a way you can use it? And we brought in ADUs. So we're trying to find unique and alternative ways to use both existing built and the open spaces as well too. So it's another idea that I think is working for us. So. More questions? No, Steph.
I would just point out that later on your agenda, the board will be considering whether or not to move forward with the housing plan that's been budgeted for. So we take a deep dive into East Lampeter and the housing situation.
Part of our budget for 2023 and our strategic vision for what we're spending taxpayer resources on was, let's do our own housing study. And the Housing and Redevelopment Authority said, hey, maybe you should work with us. We're going to be doing one. Maybe we should do it together. And we said, great, we'd love to do it with you, but we just feel the need to move forward now. So we're going to do a housing study on East Lampeter Township, trying the best with the data that we collect all data, but trying to do our best to try to get our finger on the pulse of what housing is like and what's available in East Lampeter. So, and we'll share it obviously with everybody. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe
Public
anyone
questions?
from the public have any questions for Terry or Tammy? Any questions? Questions to the board on the topic? Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think the other gentleman from your coalition wasn't able to make it tonight.
That's correct.
Andrew,
Andrew,
just-
yeah.
Yeah, please tell him, give him our best and celebrate stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Let's move on. Thank you. Okay. Item number 9 is old business. Old business, we have 9A, an Echo agreement termination. So Ralph, we have Stallsous 2689A South Cherry Lane.
The purpose for the Echo doesn't exist anymore. And so since the original agreement was recorded, you need to record another agreement to terminate it. So.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the Echo?
Motion to accept the Echo agreement termination, 2689A South Cherry Lane.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Roger. Questions? There's none. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 9B, a request for reduction of financial security number 13-37 Amos Byler 2725 Lincoln Highway East. Is there anyone here on behalf of this? Hey, looks like the township engineer has inspected the site and is recommending that $0 be reduced from the financial security through the fact that required improvements have not been constructed and completed. That's correct. Okay. All right. No release, no reduction.
Would be best if the board would take action.
Yeah, good.
I'll make a motion. Byler and 13-103. And the remaining balance will remain the same at $11,031.67.
And that's per the DMA later of February 20th.
Just one comment. It's actually a penny off for some reason. Actually, I don't know if that's
Remaining balance on.
stay the same.
Right, zero reduction.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I figured the mathematician.
I know, I believe in you.
Motion by Roger, is there a second? All right, second by Corey. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. 9C, request for reduction of financial security, number 15-22, Turkey Hill Car Wash, 5 Strasburg Pike. Looks like at this point, township engineer is saying that recommending the financial security be reduced to a balance of $33,578.44. But there is a sewer authority recommendation to, let's see, to a balance of 0. Correct? Okay.
For the sanitary improvements, yes.
Okay. A motion. Okay. Motion.
Strasburg Pike, Strasburg Car Wash, to have a remaining balance of 33,578.44 for the escrow account and 0 remaining balance for the sanitary sewer escrow account.
Okay, motion by Corey, is there a second? Mike? Second by Mike, okay. Questions? Understand the motion? Okay, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item number 9D, a request for reduction of financial security, number 16-25, David and Sadie Krills, 2009 Meadow Ridge. Is there anyone here on behalf of this property owner? Okay, one here. Looks like township engineer has inspected it, recommending the financial security be reduced to a balance of $2,000. Looks like there's an issue of an escrow.
Correct. As you're aware, every project posts an escrow to cover those costs for inspections, things like that. This escrow comes in arrears, so I ask that if the board is going to approve this reduction, that be conditioned upon that escrow amount being paid
In advance.
in advance of the reduction, yes.
So it would be a condition upon the motion. If that's your direction, Mike. So, okay, is there a motion?
Make a motion, plan number 1625, David and Sadie Krills, to reduce the remaining balance to $2,000 after the escrow account is
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? A motion by Roger, second by Ethan. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. 9E, a request for reduction of financial security, number 17-22, 2232 Lincoln Highway East. Looks like there is township engineers inspected it. They're recommending the financial security be reduced for a remaining balance of $17,154.50.
Release of financial security for 2232 Lincoln Highway East to a balance of $17,154.50.
Is there a second? Okay, second by Corey. Motion by Mike, second by Corey. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 9F, a request for time extension to record the conditionally approved plan number 21-25 Stoidler Land Development. Anyone here on behalf of the Stoidler project? Okay. Looks like current date is March 20th, and they're looking for a 92-day time extension until June 20th. And we've had a couple of these, haven't we? A couple of these.
This is the fourth time extension.
Okay. Okay. Look like we're getting Get in there and think this will do it.
Yeah, I think all they need to do is post financial security for the improvement. However long it'll take them to get there.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the time extension to record the conditionally approved land development plan for Plan 2125 Stugler property until June 20th, 2023, which is a 92-day time extension from the current date of March 20th, 2023.
Okay, is there a second? Second. A motion is Ethan, Corey, and a second by Roger. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And we have 9G, a request for time extension to record the conditionally approved land development plan number 22-13. So it'd be lot 5, the Zook Yoder Esch Farms, i.e. The Greenfield plants. Anyone here on behalf of this property? Okay. Looks like they're requesting time extension to what date here, guys? June 30. June 30. Okay. Oh, there we go. Sorry, June 30. All right. Is there a motion?
Motion. Provide a time extension until June 30th, 2023 for the land, conditionally approved land development plan 2213, lot 5, Zook Yoder Esch.
Is there a second?
I just want to say that, coming on the board and seeing how High really conducts their business, listens to us, gets things back. I really do appreciate that as we go forward with some big plans. So
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Yes, no, that's a good developer that works with us on these plans. So thank you. Okay, motion was Corey, second. Roger? What gives you, Roger?
What I wrote down.
Okay, no more questions? All right, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to 10, new business. 10A. 10A is a stormwater management plan for 22-19-1724 Lincoln Highway East. Is there anyone here on behalf of the applicant? Want to step up, and if you would state your name, and we can pick up your name, but just make sure you a little volume. Thank you.
No problem. My name is Alex Kinsey. I'm from StackPack Engineering. I'm the one who prepared the plans for this project.
Thank you.
Should I give an overview?
Start in. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Start with your overview, please. Thank you.
So this, the property is the old Riston vacuum cleaning place down on 1724 there, so next to the Sundance Car Wash. The 0.83 acres tract, there's an existing building on it now. The goal of this plan was to expand the impervious to the maximum allowable. So to allow for better parking and maneuver. The intent is to refurbish the building and use it more or less as is. They're going to add an overhang out the front to make it more modern looking, things like that.
The streetscape a bit.
Right. Yeah. And that as part of this plan, we're now narrowing the entrance to, it currently has 2 entrances. We're going to be narrowing down to 1. We're going to get that all closure. We will be adding the sidewalk and landscaping. The compensation for this added impervious is a rain garden to the south side of the property. We've pretty much maximized that as big as we can make it too. So largest footprint as we can. So with that, we're at the point now where we've been back and forth with your engineer, and we fairly thinned out a letter, as you can see. Yeah, so we are asking for 1 waiver. And that's on that stormwater note. The loading ratio, basically very restrictive on the property. It would have to be more than twice as big as what it is now in order to meet this loading ratio. We just don't have the room. There's a sewer easement across the back, and the physical building where it is now restricts what we can do. Yeah. We did do further research to back up our waiver. We hired an ECS to perform a carbon assessment report, and they found that from their samples and things like that they had to do. I'm not sure what all they did, but their report backs us up to the engineer agreed. So we're asking for a modification of that to allow this to proceed, and then hopefully conditional approval.
Okay. So you saw the DMA letter of February 22nd, Township Engineer. Okay. Good, good. There was a connection to the car wash. There was a impervious connection to the property next to it. Has that been removed? Has that pavement been removed?
I think that will still remain, but I'm not sure if that has the potential to be used anyway, depending on what Sundance doing. I know they're working on the plan a year or so ago.
Yeah.
It did, and their plan essentially eliminated any connection between these two areas.
So there's the answer to the question.
Yeah. So that pavement can come out.
Yeah, staff would like to suggest that pavement within 10 feet of the property line be removed as a result of that change.
Oh, is that something you want?
I'd like to see that cleaned up if we could, Alex, have that pavement removed that is connecting to that car wash. And I guess at this point, the property line must go through that connection
Yes,
point.
right now, this property that I'm presenting, the pavement does go to the edge because it did connect. So our intent was to leave that part as is, and the neighbor's going to permit that buffer. It still wouldn't allow it. This is new to me, that's why I'm kind of I'm not sure what my client would think about that.
Is Sundance, is the car wash looking to curb that? And are they going to remove the connecting point by putting curbing in there, doing any kind of buffer?
In fact, I think they had parking spaces up there, if I remember correctly, with vacuum clean outs so that it was taken from the rear of the parcel to the front of the parcel, away from the residential in the rear.
So what is that doing to this impervious connecting point? Is that changing that at all? It eliminates it by putting something there.
But I think there is a grass strip there, but I can't recall off the top of my head if there's curbing.
Okay. So if there's a grass strip there, what does it do to this part? What remains on that side? On the side of his client's, the old wrist and back, what's still there? So it is fully asphalt there.
Yeah, so we would have asphalt up to the property line just like it is now. But yeah, if they're gonna have a grass strip, then there would be a physical disconnection, so.
But if you're
That would
trying
be acceptable to.
to maintain sort of as much coverage, have more parking spaces. I mean, if you're looking at potentially retail there, I don't know what, depending on the use you're looking at, where our parking would be, but you give 3 more spaces right there.
Right. If it would be allowed in the front, I believe there was something in your ordinance that says parking is not allowed. So that would purely be maneuvering room, maybe delivery room, something like that. And knowing it basically like on highway is, I would think my client would think that's valuable space. So I would guess they wouldn't want to get rid of that pavement up to the property line.
Right.
And it is still physically disconnected, so maybe.
What's staff's interest in having, if it's disconnected from the neighboring property, and it sounds like the neighboring property's plan is to put a grass strip or something there?
Right, the ordinance speaks to this and calls for a buffer of the property line, so it should be a matching
Buffer.
as to what the
Okay.
property owner's doing. I haven't operated the business that his client is operating. I can't really see much use for, that 10 feet of asphalt at that location, so.
So if the ordinance requires it and his applicant decides it's prohibitive, gonna come back and ask for a waiver.
Yeah, that's what it wasn't in the.
Yeah, wasn't,
Yeah.
why wouldn't the township engineer mention this so he could have had a conversation with his client and not do it here?
Because it was existing, is my best guess. So if he was coming in with a clean, an undeveloped property
Yeah.
and proposing it, it would have been a comment.
Okay.
Similarly, on the other side of the property, you pave it right up to the edge, to the where it's been. There's no comment on that either.
I know that our plan on the west side does show the disconnect and curving along there. And we'll have a landscape where that connection exists now.
On your west side, on your west,
We are terminating the west side. It sounds like our neighbor to the east is terminating the east side. So they will both be disconnected.
yeah. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I don't see the benefit to require it at this point. This matches the other side of the property, unless they come back and they need to reduce impervious later to do something that's available, sort of cash in the bank for future impervious removal.
Exchange it. Yeah.
Thoughts? Mike?
Is there a question on what exactly Sundance is doing?
No, I mean, I'm clear that the car wash is eliminating the drive-through by on their side of the property line, putting in a grass strip and then some sort of amenities, vacuum cleaners or something there. So they are, but this property wouldn't be addressing anything on their property line. So, okay, so I'm hearing, perhaps the board's interested in letting that issue as is, letting that condition as is. Yeah, is there an issue with a motion that would not address that and allow that to be?
That's entirely up to you.
Okay. All right. Alex, I think we probably heard the conversation and see what they're going to do. Okay, thank you. Thoughts? Or Mike, other thoughts?
Good to hear that property is finally going to be developed or reused. Sorry.
Mike, you were saying something.
Said nothing that hasn't been said.
All right. Okay. So we've got stormwater management plan 1724 Lincoln Highway East. 10 Township Engineer, February 22nd letter in front of us here. Waivers and modifications. Looks like, and Alex did address this as well as to modification of the requirements because of the karst area and just not able to manage much space at the back of the property, I guess, to address fully. So, yep. Township Engineer is saying the request recommended to be granted. And then there's just a couple of notes there under the grant, under the general, and then the stormwater management. Looks like bonding estimate submitted by STECVEC, amount of 98,729 represents fair and reasonable amount. Okay. So, all right. Motion.
Make a motion to approve the stormwater plan 22-19 for 1724 Lincoln Highway East, granting waiver and modification for number 1 and conditioning it on the engineer's letter dated February 22nd, 2023, and also accepting the bonding estimate of $98,729.50.
Second.
You couple with my mouth full of water. Motion by Ethan. Thank you, Ethan, for that. And second by Corey. Any questions? Questions, Alex? All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Alex.
Very much.
Is the owner?
No, but he's on the, that's sit there, Sydney Horrocks.
City Hawks, okay.
Cameron is one of his associates.
Good. Well, good luck. Appreciate that. Thanks for the redevelopment. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Okay, item number 10B under new business, subdivision plan number 22-21 Beechdale Farms subdivision 458 Beechdale Road. Is there someone here on behalf of the applicant? Thank you. Mr. Fry, how are you? Good, how are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Last time we saw you, we had microphones and all kinds of stuff. Now you just talk and it just picks up, so.
Yeah. I'm Roger Fry from Fry Surveying, preparing the plan for the applicant. Property is located on the west side of Kingsdale Road. Frontage actually is in Upper Lake Township. If you look at the property as you go into Upper Lake Township, on the left, there's some pillars there that go back to what's called by some people the mansion house in the back. That's the property we're talking about. Just as you get into Upper Lake Township, we're proposing a flag lot to go into the rear of the property to develop an area that's probably the least favorable area of the property for any kind of development. There's a lot of woodland in the rear of the property. And our access would be through Upper Lake Township, all the building within. While we're on Upper Lake Township, they have approved the plan, condition of course on their engineers review. So we're finishing the township there, and they have deferred planning for sewer to East Lampeter Township. All the sewer, of course, for this property will be in East Lampeter Township. So they've deferred that. DEP prefers when you have multiple townships and the work, proposed work is being handled in one of the townships. That's the one that should be in. In East Lampeter side, we are requesting 2 waivers. One is including our plan. The other is a loading ratio. So we just rates, and we are doing the engineer. We go on detail, try to get down our request tonight is approval of those 2 waivers, a conditional approval of the plan and action. The other items in the review are pretty straightforward, down to housekeeping.
Questions, gentlemen? It's a pretty clean letter of review from the engineer.
I would just say, we did not put the resolution for the planning module on the agenda. We weren't aware of it.
Okay.
And I'm not sure we've received it, so.
The planning module was submitted to the council, so we're pretty patient about getting action. Planning commission.
Sorry, for some reason, we didn't put it on the agenda. We weren't aware of it.
Okay. Here is what we talked about in the roads, is financing. They are committed for their loan. In fact, we did wait a little time on this plan.
How soon can we get that?
I mean, it's a standard resolution that you adopt, the typical DEP resolution. It's from one review. It's a on-lot system that's being proposed. So, you know, I again apologize for it not being on the agenda. Action on a resolution that is a typical standard form for this project. You may. The alternative would be 2 weeks from now is your next meeting.
Yeah. Would we have to make a motion to change the agenda to?
Your practice has been, you know, for a little while now to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's a pretty low risk form document, 1 EDU. It's a standard form. It's not. Who would object to it, I guess, is the, you know.
It doesn't have to be advertised. Doesn't have to be advertised?
no, it's a resolution. It doesn't require advertising.
And the agenda. And we don't have a copy here, but do you have a copy with you that we could just?
Okay, great. Yeah.
Why don't you bring that forward, Roger? Let me see that.
Speed read it.
This would actually be East Lampeter completed, and then under Upper Lake Cox area, it just says the plan is deferred. Sergeant, I also have a copy of the deferment letter from Lake Township. This would be the letter that would go in the module, the DEP to that it's been deferred, and this would be the action that Lake took on the plan.
Well, we have that. Yeah. We have that too. I don't. Yeah, guys, if you want to just amend the agenda.
I'm not your solicitor.
No, I understood. Yeah.
Don't need to amend the agenda.
Don't need to amend the agenda.
It's up to you. If you-
Sure, I'd rather make it easy and amend the agenda.
I would be okay if we just add it to a motion, if that's the direction you want to go. Thank you, Roger. This is yours.
That's a copy.
Okay. So I'm open to a motion that would include, Ethan, it would include, the resolution on that allowing you to complete approval of that module or that EDU. So I guess the deferral of that is what you're going to add to it.
Is it?
Are we approving the module or are we just deferring? Like they deferred it. We're just.
We're approving the DEP
We're
module.
accepting Upper Lake Talks deferral. We're accepting it to us. Okay. So you need to approve the DEP module. Correct, Ralph? And allow for one EDU.
That all mod system is proposed in one.
Okay. Okay. You want to take a swing at it?
I'll take a swing at it.
We'll help you through.
Make a motion to approve the final preliminary plan. Final plan for.
Yes.
For 22-21 Beachdale Farms, 458 Beachdale Road. Condition on the township engineer's letter. Accepting for Upper Lake Township and approving the DEP module presented by the applicant.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, that would include the waiver request.
Oh, yeah.
He said per the township engineers.
Make sure I get that.
Yes.
Here's some engineer's letter, including the waivers recommended by the township engineer.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. Thank you. All right. Go ahead.
I would just recommend that the motion include that it's adoption of the resolution for the planning module. So the word resolution is helpful if we can get that in there.
Yep. So amended to include resolution.
Update the motion to include approval of the resolution for the DEP planning module as presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion second on the table. Okay. Questions? Questions, Roger? Pretty good. You have the DMA letter? Okay. All right. No questions? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger. So sorry about that. Applicants? Are you? No. Thought maybe your applicant was here. No. Thank you, Roger. Take care. Okay, item number 11 is our action items. Okay, under our action items, 11A, a letter of support in reference to Pine Manor Home application for county ARPA funds. ARPA funds are all those dollars that the federal government pushed out to the states and the localities to recover from the pandemic. We have individuals. Is there anyone here on behalf of Pine Manor? Okay. They've requested that we send a letter to the county supporting their application, their request for these funds that the county is continuing to. I think there's another round coming as well. So questions, thoughts? None? Okay.
Make a motion, letter of support regarding Pine Manor home application for county ARPA funds.
And motion by Cory, second by Mike. Okay, no questions? All right, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 11B, this is a request to authorize opposition to use variance zoning appeals would be our board's opposition to the use variance zoning appeal in reference to David Bauer of Mill Creek Fence and Keystone Vinyl for property at 2498 Old Philadelphia Pike. Ralph, want to give us some understanding of the situation?
Mr. Byler here this evening as well. The property is located on the southwest corner of Old Philadelphia Pike and Eastbrook Road, 896, 340 and 896. The application is for a use variance on that property related to manufacturing to be placed. This does not permit manufacturing unless it's on a local road. And both of these are, of course, state highways. And so the township is party to every zoning hearing that happens. Whether the board intervenes or not is always up to the board. And in the event that you would choose to intervene, we of course would get the township solicitor involved to participate and intervene on behalf of the board. Staff feels that would be appropriate in this case to uphold the provisions of the ordinance.
The ordinance currently limits that in the zoning district.
It does.
You're talking about village commercial, the Burton Hand commercial.
Well, this would be in the general zone. So it applies there as well as other village zones. This topic was discussed by the board back when the ordinance was being amended, rather significantly discussed by the board. And the conclusion was that in order to accommodate manufacturing, but in an appropriate way in the villages, that it would be accommodated only if the access was to a local road.
Okay. We had extensive conversation with that village general, village commercial, and Burton Hand districts pretty significantly. Said Mr. Byler is here, right? Are you aware of what we're discussing and the issue before us and what it is that if we take action and how that action would play out?
Well, right now, I didn't get any notice on zoning hearing yet, but that's really the only variance that we need. And our attorney was saying he had a hard time trying to figure out how manufacturing is separated out of everything else because there's no village general zoning going on to a township road. So if manufacturing is allowed, but there's no township road anywhere in the village general. So he's saying, how can this be where one part is different from everything else? There's a lot of things allowed there, but and manufacturing, we really had a hard time with the manufacturing part of it because they're bringing in a manufactured body and we working it into a fence and grilling product. So technically, we're not manufacturing, we working product. So it's really not, do you call it manufacturing, do you not? The township staff thought it was manufacturing, so, but how do we do a manufacturing village general zoning when there is no township roads on any village general zoning?
That's not an accurate statement.
Is there another village general somewhere else?
No.
There's no township road on the village general, I'll say that.
Airport Road, there's Whitmer Road.
Village general, does that
Two.
no?
Two. I didn't take it.
Airport road is commercial, isn't it?
No, that's the village general
That's
zone.
village general. Okay. that our attorney didn't notice it, because he was trying to find any other roads that had.
Village general that were on the local roads. There's more, there are actually more than that.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was gonna be here tonight, but we didn't notice this thing until today's paper. We didn't get a notice on it, so, and he had a meeting at 7 o'clock, so he could not be here. Because his question was, is why that part of it is different.
He, you'll have an opportunity hearing with the board to present whatever case you wish to present. That's not what's before this board tonight. That's a different topic.
Zoning hearing board has not issued a.
Yeah, hearing date will be set.
Yes, we haven't had a hearing
Yeah. So this would allow for us to have counsel before the zoning hearing board. And his counsel will be before zoning hearing board. And this is asking that we authorize staff to send counsel there to oppose it, to come at it from the opposing view. So Mr. Bauer is going to have someone representing him at that zoning hearing board, and they're going to be discussing this use variance.
Correct. And this is something that the board has done from time to time in the past.
So would this at that zoning hearing, would that also be a place to discuss the question of manufacturing, what it is exactly?
Sure, there are definitions in the ordinance that would be.
There be ways that could be with his representatives and ours to talk about.
Keep in mind the zoning hearing board and the board of supervisors, two different bodies. And so Mr. Bauer will go before the zoning hearing board with your attorney. The board of supervisors needs someone to represent the position of the board and the intention of the zoning ordinance. Okay. Right. So staff is looking for us to authorize counsel to be at the zoning hearing board and to work on behalf of the ordinance that would oppose or be in opposition to this use variance. Okay. Which once again, we have done on other occasions as well. So.
Yeah, my understanding is when we've done it in the past, it's also due to preserve, if they were to appeal that, allow us to continue that sort of fight against that all the way up. Whereas the zoning hearing board doesn't have that ability.
Once a decision is issued by the zoning hearing board, then whichever side didn't get their way has the opportunity to appeal. And once you get to that point, this board can appeal farther than the zoning hearing board can because they'd be defending their own decision. So the parties in that situation would be the applicant and the township.
Even if we're not a party to the case, right? Like
you're a party to every.
No matter what. Okay,
what.
so we don't have to be at the hearing and say we're a party to the case. We're automatically a party to the case.
Yeah, that's right. Every case is
Great.
wonderful. It's just a question of whether or not you want to have counsel attend to actively participate and oppose the application.
Okay, understood.
That we authorize the township solicitor to assist our staff, our township staff, to oppose the use variance zoning appeal regarding the Mill Creek fence and Keystone Vinyl property at 2498 Old Philadelphia Pike.
Okay, motion, is there a second? Motion. Is there a second? Motion will die. Okay. Motion dies. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, 11C. We have a discussion in reference to our housing scope of work. Staff has worked to prepare a scope of work We mentioned this early to Tammy Fitzpatrick from the Coalition for Sustainable Housing, looking at doing a housing plan. So Ralph, looking for board's support to move forward, and looking for our input or discussion. So
Staff prepared the scope of work, distributed that to the board members several weeks ago, I believe. And all you need to have a discussion about it this evening. And if there was anything that the board wanted to modify about that scope before we move forward with consultant selection, that we could convey that. And then if you're ready to move forward, authorize us to begin consultant selection for the plan.
okay. The outline, as you can see, gentlemen, lists 6 different tasks that will be involved. Everything from producing the profiles of conditions and number of bedrooms and locations and costs and so forth of housing in the township, to housing needs analysis, a gap forecast, and then look at some recommended policies that the board may need to address and adopt, and then a draft and final housing study. Thoughts? Anything? Questions? Like to see it.
Well-written scope of work, really good job.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Tara. Maybe.
Yeah, correct.
They're working.
No, that's good.
Yeah. They're working.
Couple of quick questions on the scope here. I'm just skimming through it. So, do we have anything in here on quality and stocks or age and another sort of aging of the housing stock as part of this scope?
There are the ages of houses based on build dates. So that we would, and tenure of the residents within those housing stocks.
Has 2 talks about condition as well.
That's correct.
The condition piece is as our housing stock ages, and we have a sort of a, when you look at areas that have slightly older housing stock than us, so the issues that they're facing now will be facing 10, 20 years from now. The other one, and it might be included in here, but also that also gives you a good baseline based off of the age of the housing stock for potential lead paint issues in that housing stock. So as long as that's covered, I think we're good. The other question would be the on-site property inspections. How would we potentially be going about that?
How would we be going about that? We've actually led that pretty open in the scope of work so that the consultant can come back to us with some ideas.
Some of that information we can get from the county assessment office, whoever did any conversions, building permit, which they may or may not have.
Yep. I think the consultant is going to be someone who has experience doing this, and I'm sure that they're going to bring forward numerous recommendations for ways to manage these tasks and to acquire the information, the data that they need. So, okay, good. No, I like the scope of work. Thank you, sir. Okay, further questions?
Just to comment on this, I think I like the direction of this piece, but I wouldn't want the fact that we have a study started that we're going to see a final presentation of in a year from now doesn't stop us from looking for some low-hanging fruit based off of some of the things from Tammy's presentation that we can address sooner than that. So it's that's a comprehensive piece, but there's also things we could look at sooner that can start the ball rolling.
It was a question I had because we're saying a study of and plan. So who we consult with? Are they're doing the study, and is it their job to use that study and then develop an entire plan? Is that sort of what we're thinking?
Yeah.
To the point that, well, that plan, do we want to make sure we're consulting with coalition and other people before that plan moves forward?
I mean, I would call it, there's
What do we-
things that should be informed by a plan like this, and then there's things that we can just look at the ordinance and say, all right, we know that would have a benefit now. Sort of a low hanging fruit sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, let's move on. 11D, authorization to begin consultant selection process for the housing plan. Obviously, the two are tied together. So, staff needs to begin the process of selecting a consultant to do this. So, looking for authorization. So, I need a motion. Staff's looking for direction from.
Motion to authorize staff to begin the process of selecting a consultant for the study and plan of our housing plan scope.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Corey. Questions? None. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. 11E, an ordinance for the adoption in reference to our updated official map, which was 2015. It's our last one. Good. Thank you, Russ.
As a result of the other planning efforts that the township has gone through. It was a good tool, good planning tool to have up to date. So it has been reviewed by Township Planning Commission, and they've recommended adoption of the ordinance, which will adopt the new official map.
Okay. Roads, parks, trails, all of those infrastructure investments that the township sees in its future. And it's been since 2015 since we updated this.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So this would include the improvements from the Bridgeport plan, from the pollution reduction plan, the park and recreation plan.
Good. Have you guys, obviously, we've all been, part of these conversations. Anything that you hadn't seen or don't recall, or things that strike you? Nothing. Okay. Important that the citizens and taxpayers recognize that as a elected body, we have to look forward at infrastructure, land use, infrastructure. Obviously, we're talking about housing here, but the trail system we're creating, the Lincoln Highway Streetscape Plan. There are a lot of strategic, forward-looking actions we have to take, and this is one of those. The official map that helps us to know where might we put parks in the future, and where might roads be that perhaps are not there now. So, okay. Up on our website.
It has been.
Okay. All right.
It has been advertised appropriately for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Okay. Is there, we have to, I need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
To adopt the ordinance for the updated official map.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, motion by Corey and second by Roger. Questions? Okay, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Item number 11F, an authorization to proceed with the land bank program. We all had a presentation here from the County Housing Redevelopment Authority. Had some good conversation on this. I think there are a few municipalities around the county who are entering into the land bank program. Ralph, additional detail.
Yes, we received the draft agreement, which was referred to during the presentation. We had a couple of small comments and The minor modifications were made by their staff. And yeah, Sean here, thank you. Yep. So we didn't have any further comment. Wanted you to have a list of very few reasons out there. What this requires a relationship, three-party relationship, the school district, the township, and the authority. And so the next part of that process, I believe, would be for the authority, with help from Sean, to with the township, to approach the school district and address any of their questions and seek their participation before you would actually consider approval of the agreement. Come to you in the future.
Okay. Sean, anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, I think we basically, we'd love to have East Peter in as a member. Obviously, it's not the overall solution to blight, but it offers a great tool, another option to deal with any problem properties. And just having a slew of options is always great.
Yeah, a tool in the toolbox, as
Absolutely.
we say. So, okay. Further questions, guys? Anything we talked about before? Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion authorize staff to proceed with the land bank program as presented.
Second. Okay, motion by Mike, second by Ethan. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Sean. Take care. Appreciate that. Thank you, Ralph, staff. Look forward to your conversations with the school district. 11G, a resolution in reference to the purchase of additional crime watch feature. Ralph.
Chief Zerby's state to address for you, explain that feature through Crime Watch. These did include in the budget, so a resolution would be necessary to change that.
Gentlemen, this is actually known as the police blotter portion of Crime Watch, and essentially, long and short of what this will do for us, it will save a lot of manpower time. Currently, those items that we push out on Crime Watch to advise the public of things that are going on or taking place within our community, they're all done by an individual who puts those pieces together, constructs all the language to them, things of this nature. The police blotter feature is an added expense, but it extrapolates stuff from within Crime Watch into a pre-formatted condition so that it can be reviewed by, this is handled by Lieutenant Eachus in the Records Division, and then subsequently allows him to push those things out much more efficiently. There's some other townships that are using something very similar. I believe Manheim Township uses the police blotter, and there may be one other one in the county that are using the police blotter function. But it's not an element of Crime Watch that you get with the service that we're currently paying for. So it's a step up, so to speak, and that's what the money would be used for.
Okay. All right, so we have to amend it wasn't the budget. So we have to adopt a resolution to revise the budget if this is the direction the board wants to go.
And it's not to exceed $4,200. That's the added expense. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Steve. Thanks for sticking around. Our motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution regarding purchase of additional Crime Watch feature based on the details in the resolution.
A motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Questions?
I just want to know if the style of the titles for those stories will change. Will they be more bland, or will they maintain the creative energy that goes into them?
Still maintain the creative energy.
Thank you.
Mike, and thanks for clarifying. Appreciate it. All right, no more questions. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Steve, for sticking around. 11H, consideration of award of contract for in-place paving materials. Ralph.
Yes, we opened bids this past Friday for the milling and paving project, as well as the oil and chip work that's planned for this year. On the oil and chip bid, we only received one bidder, Martin Paving. We do believe that there's a responsible bid and would recommend award to Martin Paving for the oil and chip. Received 4 bids for the milling and paving work, a low bid being from Pensy Supply. Being the responsible bidder as well. And recommend an award to Pensy Supply with a low bid from paving.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the award of the bids for milling and paving to Pensy Supply and oil and chip.
Second. And motion by Ethan, second by Mike. Questions?
I have a question. So last year, wasn't it on the oil and chip side, weren't some of the vendors concerned about what the cost was at a certain point in the year? Has that been relieved or resolved or?
We did put the escalator clause in the bid document, so
Okay.
it protects both sides from flushing issues in oil.
So any reason why?
Nobody likes to compete against Martin Paving. They knew Martin was going to bid it, so that's my guess. You know, I don't know that as a fact, but
So, okay. So bidder A knows it needs to be on the next already?
that's my belief. Yes.
Okay.
Martin Paving.
And we do keep track of who picks up the
Yeah.
bidding documents, and people ask, who's picked up, and that kind of information.
Oh, so that
is shared.
information is it? Okay. Not the number, just who's picked up. Okay, fine.
Okay. Good. All right. Have a motion on the table? Questions?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, other questions? All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 12, managers report. Ralph?
I think last year, the board staff to work with the township traffic engineer to look at the pedestrian crossing issues on Mount Sydney Road, especially in response to the development of the trail system on the school district campus. And so we did receive an initial report from the traffic engineer, and I shared that with you. There were some staff comments that we transmitted back to him, and we're looking for some revisions to the report. And when they come, we'll provide those as well. In a nutshell, I would say that priority would be crossings at Suan Drive and at Stumptown. The crossing at Southview is a little bit less desirable, I guess, would be the word. There are some impediments to a crossing there, some visibility issues, as well as utility poles and other features there that are challenges. So he did provide some cost estimate for the improvements that will be involved. I think those improvements will change. One of the comments that I made was that, although we'd only be crossing from either the north side or the south side of the intersecting road, we probably ought to have a pedestrian refuge on both sides to accommodate anybody who's coming on one side. They would cross parallel to Mount Sydney, cross the mouth of the local road, and then cross on the side of the freeway crossing. That seems to costs will likely increase as a result of that. He also only estimated for installation of sidewalk. And again, one of my questions was, we probably ought to have curbing that would go around the radius to accommodate that sidewalk and the appropriate ADA ramp at that radius. So some of the costs will go up, and of course, as the board's evaluating, where to make investments, approximately what kind of cost we'll be getting into. As you know, there is a subdivision that's being proposed on the west side of Mount Sidney, fairly close to the former middle school property. And that'll be before the board, probably at your next meeting. And so there could be advantages to going through the design and permitting process in coordination with that development. Just because it's easier to do once instead of doing it twice. So you may want to consider that when that plan is before you. But now, nothing to be asked on in this regard. If you have any questions, any issues that you feel ought to be addressed in the final document that the engineer provides, please let us know and convey those and get them addressed.
We had a couple times we discussed this board, and we were greatly interested in trying to bring some pedestrian infrastructure to this part of the township, to this neighborhood. And obviously, with this additional, however many units are going to be proposed from this 14, we're I think doing a good job of keeping the development in this small village, in close, tight. I think we're trying to provide a walkable portion to this part of the community. I think this is important that we do this. With Southview, we can't do Southview. Is that what he's saying?
That's the least of the three that he was suggesting. One of staff's comments, my comments, was that we might be able to do a crossing of Southview back at the newly developed road, which isn't a township road yet, Farrell Drive, across Southview. And then maybe we could talk to the fire company and work somehow that pedestrians could walk down the fire company driveway through the parking lot to get to Siouxland, and then, come out to Mount Cindy to cross. Crossing at Southview is less.
Less feasible.
Accommodating, I guess.
Okay. I like that idea. Park with the fire company. Try to mark a pedestrian walkway. Okay, thoughts? Anybody? Right. Good, thank you, Ralph. Appreciate that. Your community survey.
The board heard a presentation from a representative of Zen City not too long ago. In general, the board felt that a great tool, little overzealous for East Lampeter Township. So we looked at a number of other options, and it looks like SurveyMonkey or some similar type of survey function may be a good option as a starting point for a baseline level survey of township residents, business owners, and the like. So we've put together some questions to start off. Happy to take comments, additions to those questions.
Really, I think it's great start. My only comment would be for the questions 1 through 17 or 1 through 19, actually, maybe add an NA option, because forget which question. There were a few questions that they may not know what they think about volunteer fire service as an example, just using that as an example. So they don't want to put poor or excellent, but or no response, NA or no response, just so it doesn't, they just don't put excellent when they have no idea. They've had no interaction with them.
There's another suggestion would be allow NA a comment and shift to a 1 to 5 scale.
1 to 5 too.
Yeah, 1 to 5 is ideally 1 to 10, but if people respond better with a 1 to 5, you can extrapolate. Series of 9 questions. Are those just is that the same as the census data questions?
It's very similar to the census data questions, yes.
And then are you planning to do a correlation?
Well, we would probably look at age ranges and how they view different services, as well as or I should say age groupings, because it's grouped if I remember correctly.
We're doing the polling type of work, but the cheaper way to do it is you basically, you use the internet and your newsletters. You get a group of people to take your survey. You ask them the census questions, and then you take a sample of those and then randomize them. So if a whole bunch of people between the ages of 20 and 40 are more likely to answer your questions on, Facebook, and some folks will answer more on Nextdoor. They're not overpowering your survey results. But if you have that data, then you can extrapolate out. So if you get 90 of one and 15 of another, you random 60 of that piece to correlate it down.
Be ecstatic if we have 105 responses.
Yeah, I mean, a sample size for 17,000, well, there's more than, because there's people that work here too. I mean, there's sample size calculators online to tell you how many.
385.
Yeah, 385 is like for over 2,000, right? It's always 385. So,
I mean, it's
385.
It's similar to a polling quote that you can also get for cheaper than some of the ones we've looked at. I recommend also putting at least a budget in for, if you put it on Facebook, you advertise it.
Ads, yeah.
So you gotta pay to play on Facebook. But a couple $100 and you can get a lot more survey responses. But I would also boost the engagement with our.
Okay.
The questions that you were pretty much, these 19, are we still?
Wish to change them as a board, that's to you.
I guess it's just topics. To me, transportation, public transportation is one. I don't know if that would fit under, you have roads.
I attempted to keep it to the services of the township.
Yeah, okay.
That's good.
Good point.
Yeah, just one other thought.
Some of those public transportation is worth doing. Of how many streetlights, even though we don't run the transportation, we run the stops and decide whether we have a plan to put up.
For instance, that is a part of our streetscape
Yeah.
plan, right? Better stops,
Improve the stops. Yeah.
safety places there.
Maybe you utilize public transportation in and through the township or something like that. I think I'm hearing the board wants to tap into that issue.
That'll tap into affordable housing.
We could shoot you. I mean, there's a couple as I go through, we can email.
I'd say email Tara if you have some suggestions. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Tara, thank you. Awesome. Great initiative. Love it. We're really doing some,
I can't wait
some
to see
outreach,
this.
guys. So trying to stay in touch with our community. So thank you. Okay, Ralph, nothing else? None report.
Motion to adjourn.
There's second. We're just waiting for that one. Motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all. Thank you all. Appreciate your participation. Wow, we actually kept more than